Hello, thank you for watching my video. Please hit the like and subscribe button and also leave me a comment in the section below. Pope Leo III is unquestionably the most famous of all the popes in the 9th century. He is best remembered for crowning Charlemagne I, Holy Roman Emperor. A year before he done so, an attempt had been made on Leo III to cut out his tongue and to blind him, thus disqualifying him from the papacy. The attempt failed, though leaving him seriously injured. He had only been rescued by two of Charlemagne's envoys, and the following year of 800, on Christmas Day, he had Charlemagne crowned Holy Roman Emperor. Like many popes in the early Middle Ages, Pope Stephen IV's pontificate was comparatively brief, lasting only from 816 to 817. He is best remembered for crowning Louis the Pious, successor of Charlemagne, as emperor in 816. In 823, Pope Pascal I crowned Lothair, son of Louis the Pious, co-emperor. Pascal spent much of his pontificate dedicating his time to writing, and several of his articles of writing survive to this day, or to rebuilding churches. Perhaps as a result of this construction program, Pascal was later made a saint. Eugene II is described as being a decent man. As Pope, he attempted to root out corruption in the clergy and held a council in order to decree for better behaviour amongst churchmen across Europe. His successor, Valentine, is said to have been close to Eugene, and their relationship has been questioned, although, as I have mentioned before, I will not speculate on such thing, as I do believe it's unknowable. Gregory IV's time as Pope came at an extremely difficult and turbulent period in European history, particularly in the Holy Roman Empire. Lothair, son of Louis the Pious, on two occasions deposed his father as emperor and attempted to rule by himself. He failed on both occasions, but when Louis died in 840, Lothair became sole emperor, and this time he fell out with his brothers Charles the Bald and Louis the German. Gregory did his level best to attempt to mediate between the two sides, but Lothair was an extremely headstrong individual, and civil war would continue until 843 and the Treaty of Verdun, which divided territory between the three brothers. Even then, civil war would continue long after. Amongst other of Gregory's focuses was rebuilding churches and also fortifying areas of Italy that had come under attack from Saracen forces. Sergius II's time as Pope was blighted by an attack and sack of Rome by Arab forces, and it was left to the successor of Sergius, Leo IV, to put up a more adequate defence of the city. Leo also had a visitor during his time as Pope, a king called Athelwald. Athelwald was king of Wessex, and he had a son called Alfred. Alfred was aged around 7 years old when he visited the Pope, and he would go on to become King Alfred the Great. During the reign of Benedict III, not much was accomplished. However, Benedict did try and attempt to mediate between those quarrelling brothers, Lothair I, Charles the Bald, and Louis the German. Pope Nicholas I seems to have had a good relationship with the Holy Roman Emperor, Louis II, and between them they managed to put something of a halt on Muslim invasions of Italy. However, Nicholas's successor, Adrian II, would not have such a good relationship with Louis II, and he saw his family murdered by supporters of the Holy Roman Emperor. Adrian's successor, John VIII, also had misfortune during his time as Pope, and the ending of his pontificate was a particularly brutal one, as he was poisoned and beaten to death. Pope Marinus I had a good relationship with King Alfred the Great of Wessex, and is said to have even sent him expensive gifts. This suggests that the hardships that were to come hadn't quite hit Rome yet during Marinus's papacy. However, during the papacies of Adrian III and Stephen V, famine befell Rome, and exhausted by war as well, the people of Rome fell on hard times, and it was left to Adrian III and Stephen V to do as much as they could to alleviate much of the suffering. Formosus, Pope between 891 and 896, was a controversial figure. His policies weren't exactly popular. In fairness to him, his time as Pope coincided with invasions from the Saracens, and also further internal problems in Europe. But this had been the case for earlier popes as well. Formosus seems to have been extremely unpopular, and when he died, he was posthumously dug up and executed. His immediate successors didn't last either. Boniface VI lasted a matter of months, and Stephen VI only reigned from 896 to 897, and in Stephen's case, he brought about his own downfall. He started the synod which would overthrow him. So Stephen had completely shot himself in the foot. This was an unstable time for the papacy. Pope Romanus and Pope Theodore II lasted only a matter of days between them, whilst Pope John IX attempted to stabilise the situation in Rome, but people were not happy. They were sick of civil war, they were sick of famine, and there were riots frequently. And John IX's papacy only lasted a matter of 2 years.